Hi, Amy.
Abby,
Last night was Before the 90 Days, Season 7, Episode 16. Did you like it?
found it aggravating.
Which parts?
It's aggravating. Well, obviously Brian. Everything to do with Brian. Everything to do with Loren, Tigerlily, and Adnan. Veah, Joey. Pretty much everyone except for Niles and Matilda.
Well, at least there's one. One small ray of hope in all the dark clouds.
Yeah.
Did I enjoy it? Yeah, not as much as usual. I didn't feel this was a very juicy episode. I didn't make all that many notes except for about Brian and Ingrid and about, who was the other one? I think it was Veah and Sunny. Yeah, usually there's lots and lots to discuss, and I felt like there was very little to discuss in this episode. I think this is one of those filler episodes where we're just kind of waiting to make enough episodes to make it worthwhile. They could have cut out a whole bunch of things. But nevertheless, we're here. We're going to discuss, we're going to dissect, and we're going to dig for treasure. But first, 3 things. Please rate us. Please follow us on whatever platform you listen to the podcast. Second, if you prefer to watch the podcast, head over to YouTube and look for our channel at 90 Day Fiancé Honestly. And third, our subscriber-only content has launched. Please join us for an in-depth discussion of Season 2 of The Last Resort. This show is only available through Apple and Spotify. Okay, you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's start with Brian and Ingrid.
He's the victim.
He is. He is perpetually the victim out of any situation, and it's always because of his wheels. It sucks for Brian, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. But, I'm really proud of him for protecting himself from the evil Ingrid.
Well, he had no choice because she was so abusive towards him. And she was, after all, only using him for a green card. So it's lucky he escaped with his life. Honestly. Come on.
Yeah.
Yep. Ingrid is, at the beginning of this episode, justifiably still furious at what Brian has said to her. And meanwhile, Brian himself is feeling good and proud because he was true to himself. Way to go, Brian. True to your cold, hard, calculated wasteland of a heart.
I like that.
Yeah. Doesn't that suit him? I'm true to myself. By being an absolute idiot, by being a manipulative demon to this lovely lady. Well, on the bright side of things, Ingrid says the relationship is now over for her. So yay. Let's have a moment of gratitude for this long overdue moment. It's a relief to all of us, I think, that she's come to this conclusion. But really, it's the only option available to her. She's been lied to. She's been manipulated over and over and over again. It's time for it to stop.
It's time for him to go back to the States.
It is. But first, I have to meet up with her to say a proper goodbye. Is this not the most self-serving moment there was in the entire episode?
100%. I absolutely could not believe that. I mean, it's Brian, so I could believe it. However, his whole, I want to see you, I don't want to leave things on this note, blah, blah, blah. I was waiting for an apology of some sort. How rich of a thought that was. And there was nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Not only was there nothing, there was another jab. Because he says to the camera, not to her, I need somebody who accepts the wheels and the lifestyle. Nope. Ingrid did not break up with you because of your wheelchair or your lifestyle. We all saw the true reason why she broke up with you, which is the lies, the manipulation, the deceitfulness. That. And he doesn't say sorry. When he goes up to her apartment for the start of this goodbye scene, doesn't say, I'm so sorry that I assumed something that wasn't true about you. So sorry I lied to you. None of that. Of course not. He doesn't recognize that he should apologize for any of that stuff. But I did love the fact that Ingrid says to him, she doesn't deserve the treatment that she got from him. And I was like, yes, way to go. That is on the money. You totally didn't deserve the way that Brian treated you. So good for you that you actually voiced that concern. Again, he does not say sorry. Doesn't say, I hurt you and I apologize. Nope. Just says something rather inane about they're not really compatible in the end, so it wasn't going to work out. Right. Somebody's trying to save face, methinks.
There were a couple other things that I, quote unquote, liked, using that term loosely.
Okay.
I really appreciated the fact that she finally saw him for who he is. That was great. And then in his last cutaway, he said that he was hoping to go home with a new fiance. And I had to laugh and I was like, right, because the last 7 weren't good enough.
And he's still married to the last wife at this moment.
You know what? And he also said that, he was going to take some time to work on himself, so he's ready for his next relationship. And then my commentary is the narrator comes over and says he did not work on himself.
No. If he recognizes that he needs to work on himself, why would he not have done any of that work for the previous 4 marriages and 3 engagements? You should have been working on yourself after your first failed marriage, let alone the 4th. So my prediction, which I'm sure is going to stun and shock absolutely everybody, he is not going to change a damn thing about himself. No work will take place.
Waste of space.
But what a relief. I'm glad Ingrid's free. She can go on and live her life and find somebody who's worthy of her. So that is a positive. I was happy about that.
His crocodile tears really pissed me off, though. Like when they were saying goodbye outside, I'm like, there's nothing genuine about this feigned emotion at all. And then he's like, look at me, look at me. She just wanted him to feel sorry for him.
He just wanted her to feel sorry for him. Yes, when he was saying, look at me and I don't hate you, as if there would have been a reason for him to hate her. There was no reason for him to hate her, for her to hate him, rather. What? It was totally backwards. I don't hate you. Why would you hate this beautiful woman?
And why would you even say that?
What did she do? She did nothing. Nothing. Just the way that he's trying to turn it around already, that he's trying to rewrite the history and fix himself in this narrative, as he has done many times before, as the victim, as the vulnerable one, as the person who was taken advantage of. It screams so loud. And no, she's not looking at you because she hates you. She's not looking at you because she's tired of seeing your stupid face and tired of listening to the lies, and she just wants to get the hell out of there.
So let her go.
Yes. Shall we move on? Okay. Loren and Faith. The homemade tattoo parlor is open.
Why did he have to cut up an entire shirt?
Did he?
Yeah, he ripped the arms off of his t-shirt, but both of them.
And for somebody who has so little money and probably so little clothing, that seems like rather a waste. I don't know. Dramatic effect.
I have many tattoos, and I can confidently say that I have never ruined a piece of clothing because of it.
Yeah. Well, because this is a special kind of tattooing process, namely the prison tattoo process, I think it has its own set of rules, and maybe ripping your clothing is part of that. Don't know. I do not have any tattoos, nor have I been to prison, so I'm not privy to this information. I'm just guessing.
I also haven't been to prison, so I'm not sure of those rules myself.
But Faith has the opportunity to join Loren's ex-wife, as well as his co-worker, in giving him yet another homemade tattoo. This is unbelievable. How did he come up with this idea? Why does he allow people to tattoo him? I have never seen anything like this.
It really blew my mind. This guy really comes out of the woodwork with the craziest shit. And my only thought was, wow, that's stupid, unsafe, and super impulsive.
Yes, very unsafe. It did not seem sanitary whatsoever. I felt like perhaps when Faith was tapping him and making him bleed, that maybe she was getting some kind of satisfaction out of that because of how much he's hurt her. So perhaps she would get some kind of visceral joy from making his skin bleed. That's just a thought, not an actual fact.
Perhaps. She did look like she was enjoying herself, especially when she finally gets into it.
But when she finishes, it just looks like a bunch of tiny scratches and teeth marks that were left behind by, I don't know, a time when Loren would have been living in a dumpster and was gnawed on by a bunch of rainbow rats. It was not a good tattoo.
Not far from reality. Not far at all. But yeah, when she said she was done, I was like, did we see the same photo? Did we?
She traced it all out on his arm beforehand. So I thought it was going to be quite big and substantial. And yet it turned out to be just this kind of nothing little stippling with the giant F underneath. Whatever floats his boat.
I don't know.
Who am I to say this is not a good way to spend your afternoon? Maybe you could do it on your next date night.
My date night?
Anybody's date night.
Oh, I was going to say I have a date? I should probably put that in my calendar.
Don't forget your latex gloves. They may be needed.
My ripped t-shirt.
But the next phase of Loren's plan is magical. Okay, he's going to do a proposal scene. He wants to involve a magic trick because we know that Faith loves magic. It's rather pitiful the way he has this rainbow string with the ring at the end of it, and he pulls it out for her when they go on a picnic. But her reaction was priceless. I loved it. She says, "Is this a trick?" I don't think those are the words that you're looking for when you propose to somebody. Is this a trick? Are you tricking me? And then the expression on her face, she had that, the disgust look, the ew, where she's crinkling her nose and her cheeks and her teeth were bared.
Cringe.
Yes. So it came as a bit of a shock to me that she ends up accepting his proposal. Has she had a change of heart where she actually believes that Loren can be faithful to her?
I found this really difficult because I don't even think he said, "Will you marry me?" I think he just said, "All I'm asking for is for you to say yes."
He did ask her, I think, twice, "Will you marry me, Faith?" He did it right at the beginning and then at the end of his proposal speech.
Well, when he said he was just asking for her to say yes, I was like, her or her mom, because you're not picky.
Yeah, I'd forgotten about the mom thing. That makes it even ickier. But I just couldn't get over the fact that she just said yes. How is, after all of this, you just made the disgust look. He's cheated on you. He had an STD that he brought over with him and could have given to you had you guys actually been doing stuff. He asked to marry your mom, and she says yes.
She still says yes.
She still says yes.
As if he could get any more disgusting.
No.
They were talking about, possibly having sex, and he says, "I hope my dick likes her." Excuse me. Disgusting. Is that really something that you want to say about your now fiance?
No.
No, it is not.
If my dick likes you. This was so cringy. I didn't want to listen because it seemed like they were definitely flirting with each other. It was kind of a foreplay talk. But the only reason why she seemed to be doing it is because she was having a lot of wine. And this is the first time I think we've seen her drink, or maybe the second, but she definitely gets quite giddy when she's drinking. And then as they discuss sex more and more, it seems like she's actually opening up to the idea of possibly heading there together now after this proposal to seal the deal.
Yeah. The whole time I was just like, no, don't, no. And then she was asking, how do two bottoms be together? Which I think is a very valid question.
Yeah. We've seen that before in the Caribbean with Valentine and what's his name, where they were both bottoms, remember?
Yes.
That was a big issue for them.
I forget the other guy's name, though.
Doesn't matter.
But I know who you're talking about. And then he's all like, "Oh, well, people have asked me before, then I would top." So I'm like, okay, so then you're a switch, but you prefer bottom. Either way, you're just going to take what you can get, right?
It was very convenient that he switched. I didn't like the language that he used when he was talking about, well, it depends on the person that I'm with. So you're saying that you just go with whatever somebody wants, but before you said you were a bottom. So you're changing your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still think he was saying whatever he could just to get with her before she leaves or before he leaves.
Yeah, definitely this was an attempt to get her to bed, and just whichever way he has to make it happen, he's going to make it happen.
Ew.
Yeah. Ew.
So one question, do you think that they have and or will have sex before the season ends?
God, I hope not. I feel like in the preview, she was getting the ick again, so maybe not. That's my hope. But I think that based on what we've seen in this episode, I think that she's going to continue to be engaged to Loren and that he's going to come back to the States as an engaged person. As horrible as that is for me to say, I don't even like uttering those words, but I do believe that it's going to work, at least insofar as him traveling away from the Philippines while being engaged to Faith goes. Okay, are you all right?
Yep.
Okay, reading on and moving to Niles and Matilda. Wow, it's already the day of the wedding. That came very quickly. And now Niles needs to ask Mr. Ark for money. But things are spectacularly weird when Niles goes to see Mr. Ark. He's not allowed to sit.
Oh, strange.
He can't sit. He has to stand. He has to put his hands behind his back. He can't put his backpack here. He has to put it there. It felt like pure theatrics to me. I thought Mr. Ark is doing this purely for the benefit of the cameras. Plus, he probably somewhat enjoys holding that kind of power over another human being.
I can see that.
Yeah, it's a little bit sick.
Off-putting. But it's not like he was asking him to do anything like awful, just very specific, in my opinion, inconsequential just little behaviors or
Yeah,
actions.
sure, they're inconsequential, but it was almost like being in the military and having somebody order you to do this and do that, and it's like a test for Niles. Will he do exactly as Mr. Ark says? And we've seen from past episode that Mr. Ark is taking this father figure role very, very seriously. And yet, what father does that to their son? Why? Why would you? That's just weird and a little bit cruel.
To
So,
try to teach a 27-year-old man he's not allowed to sit in front of you.
yeah,
Strange.
yes.
You know what else I found strange was when he was talking about his conversation with his parents, he referred to his dad as his father, but he calls Mr. Ark dad now.
I don't know. Maybe he's, because of the rejection from his parents, he's sort of putting all those chips in with Mr. Ark.
I feel so bad for Niles. That conversation with his parents went not well at all.
And this conversation doesn't really go that well either, especially at the start, because Niles has to screw up the courage to say to Mr. Ark, look, I don't have enough money for the wedding. Can you help me? And he has to also admit that he's lost one of his jobs back home. And so at this moment, when he reveals that he doesn't have the money, I was thinking, okay, is Mr. Ark going to come through? Is he going to actually be the father figure?
Or is he going to kibosh everything? Because clearly it shows Mr. Ark that Niles is not capable of taking care of Matilda because he doesn't even have a job. So how is this going to work?
Right. But as we keep saying, or as just me, he has 2 jobs. When we started in the very first episode with Niles, he said he had 2 jobs. Plus he has a job with TLC, which I know doesn't technically count because he's not got the money yet. But if he still has 1 job back in the States and he has a job prospect that is very promising when he goes back, then he should be okay.
I agree. I was just waiting for something to blow up.
Yeah. I was waiting for Mr. Ark to fulfill his fatherly role very, very quickly at that moment. Because if your kid comes to you and says, I need a couple of $100 to make this wedding happen, of course you're going to say, what can I do? Can I give you the money? You're going to try to help. But it feels like Mr. Ark pulls away at the first moment when Niles reveals that he needs money. Because if you listen very carefully to his words, Mr. Ark stops calling him son. He stops talking about being a father. And he says it's not his responsibility to pay for the wedding. It's not his responsibility to be taking care of Matilda. That's on Niles. So then they have this conversation where Mr. Ark is basically pressuring Niles into promising to come back to Ghana in a very short space of time in order to bring Matilda to the States with him as quick.
Unrealistic timeline, like a month, 2 months, 3 months. And as Niles is agreeing to it, he's like, yes, I agree to bring her back in 3 to 4 months. And then Mr. Ark says something else and then he changes it and he's like, I promise to bring her back in 4 to 5 months. So Niles is just pushing it. I thought that was interesting.
It was very unfair because Niles doesn't have any control over how quickly he's going to get a visa for Matilda. This is up to the U.S. authorities. He has no part in that. So he can't just promise to bring her back in 3 months' time if it's not actually possible to get the visa in that short of a window. So again, he's being a little bit unfair. He gets this promise out of Niles, and it seems like at this point, Mr. Ark is contented enough that Niles has, both sort of been the little puppet, not standing, not sitting, not doing all the things that Mr. Ark said he couldn't do, and then getting the promise out of him that he's going to bring Matilda back in short order to the U.S. So then he changes his tune and says, I will make up the difference that you can't pay. I will agree to do that for you because I am your father. So I'm glad he finally does the right thing, but I felt very uncertain for a little while there that he was going to say no, and then Niles would be up the shit creek without a paddle.
Or I didn't know where it was going to go because, as Matilda has said, Mr. Ark is a very strange man. So every time we see him, I'm not sure what to expect.
We know now that Matilda is a reliable witness because her assessment is very, very true. Mr. Ark is strange.
Cat just jumped up on my desk and buffed his head right off the corner of my laptop.
Is he okay?
He's cat. He's fine.
Shall we read on?
Can we not talk about the nails?
Oh, no, we were going to be talking about the nails because they're not just nails.
They're her scissors. They're her knives.
They're her tools for kitchen things. Ew.
They are the way that she spreads germs. How much do you want to bet that she doesn't use one of those like nail finger cleaner things? You know, the ones that go under your nails?
Ew.
Not like a buffer,
Yeah.
but like when you're gardening or something, you've got dirt caked under your nails. You use one of those like scrubby things.
Like a
Yeah, and I can't see her doing that. I didn't see one, but when she said that, I was like, huh? I did not
we
like
should
that at
mention
all.
we are now discussing Tigerlily and Adnan in case that wasn't perfectly clear to everybody because we do have a number of women with talons this season.
Lots of
Yay.
talent.
Adnan's mother and his brother are coming over to Turkey to visit the couple to spend a couple of days. So Tigerlily is going to make them a lovely Thanksgiving feast. Wonderful. We have questions though. My first question is, why is she wearing her purse in the kitchen? That was weird.
I didn't notice she was.
Yep. She did take it off eventually, but she was wearing a purse strapped over her shoulder, like a crossbody, for quite some time. I was confused by that. Then there was the whole issue of I use my nails as tools in the kitchen. I don't need tongs or scissors, she said. Tongs.
So is she like sticking her hand in the oven and flipping those breasts of turkey?
Yeah, that's what she would do with tongs. And she can cut things with her nails. Yum.
No. And then she needed help putting her on.
Of course. Of course.
And
She can cut things with her nails and use them as tongs, but she can't use them to put clothing on. All right.
You know, in my right page, I don't think I have ever asked for help beyond the age of 6 for someone to help me put an apron on.
Maybe you should try investing in some talons and see how that goes.
Perhaps you will invest in some aprons. I'm like, I have several.
I'm sure you do, because you do a lot of lovely baking and cooking. However, you and I have not, as far as I know, experienced the talon situation of not being able to clothe yourself because of the talons. So this would be a new thing. We could get some. We could see how it goes. I have lots of questions. You know this about talons and how one operates during the course of a regular day when you have, 2 or 3 or 5 inches hanging off your fingers. How does it work? How do you text? Okay. I'm going down a rabbit hole here. I'm going to stop.
Okay. So for research purposes, maybe we should do that one night is get together, have a couple drinks, put on press on nails and just see what happens.
Clicky clack around.
I can see us doing that though, like walking through the kitchen, just like click, 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 click. I really like the sound of that, but I don't know how to use my hands anymore.
I can't eat.
Yeah, but you have forks built into your nails.
How do you even open the door? How do you see? There's just so many questions. Too many questions. I can't. Wait, let's stop. Okay. Another conundrum for Tigerlily is the stove or the oven rather, which is
totally fair.
Totally fair. Celsius to Fahrenheit. Yes. Okay. You don't know how to convert it. There is such a thing as an iPhone, which you and Adnan both have. And all you have to do is say, hey, what's her name? I can't say it right now because my phone's going to start talking to me if I do. Hey, what's your name? Tell me the conversion rate of 350 degrees Fahrenheit in Celsius. And then you know.
And Adnan's like, I don't know. But, he could have used that research tool that is readily available online. And she's also asking, what does this symbol mean? What does this symbol mean?
But he's holding a goddamn phone when she's asking him.
He could have just looked up the manual. He did absolutely nothing. Absolutely. And she complained that he was doing absolutely nothing. And that's valid because he 100% was.
Yeah, he was totally useless. And to answer her question, because she wondered, is he going to be helpful or not when we're in the United States, when we're back home in Texas? Yes, he will be as useless as he is in Turkey when he's in the States.
He was going to be useful. I was like,
no.
Whoa. Is he just all of a sudden going to get a job as a ranch hand and be useful? And
no,
awesome.
He is useless. No kitchen skills whatsoever. No ability to help when you ask a question that is literally, the answer is in the palm of your hand as you're holding your phone. You could easily but he doesn't. Nope.
Legit.
Nope.
Quite legit. The answer is at your fingertips.
And the whole idea, the funniest thing, what's the picture of the cloud raining, Adnan? It's not a cloud raining. It's a top element, and it's the heat waves coming down from the top element.
Or it could have been a top-down steamer. I've
Either
seen
way.
that before.
Either way, it's very, very simple to figure those out. There's a reason why people use symbols on appliances in Europe rather than here where we don't. We actually we do have some rudimentary symbols, don't we? But for the most part, it's just on and then temperature, right?
Well, my sister has a super, super fancy stove, and I had to look up the manual because I wasn't sure how to use it.
Oh,
But instead of, asking her, I looked it up myself because I am self-sufficient
you
that way.
some kind of smart lady. You some kind of genius.
Even if she had asked me, what does this mean? I would have said, I don't know. Let me look it up.
Yeah.
But no.
No, we're useless. We're useless when we have talents.
So even more useless, he walks into the kitchen at one point and he tells her that she's been cooking for a long time.
That's very helpful. Come on, Amy. We all need a clock. We all need a clock. And he's a clock. He tells her they've been cooking for a long time. Well, she's been cooking, correction. She's been cooking for a long time.
Clock than the one that's on the stove and on the oven, including the timer and the one on her phone. I'm glad she's not using her phone at this point. Let's be serious. But you want to know my most contentious issue? Well, okay, I have two.
Okay. Number one, contentious issue. Lay it on me.
This is more of a joke, but she didn't make her own marshmallows. Come on.
Okay.
I'll give her a free pass on that one because until 15 years ago, I didn't even know that you could make them at home.
You have to use gelatin to make them, correct?
Yeah, but there's other.
But that's the most common way to do it is with gelatin.
Yes.
And gelatin is derived from pig's hooves. Pig is an animal that Muslim people are not allowed to eat. So technically, marshmallows should be, what's the word? Haram. They should not be allowed.
I hadn't even thought about that.
They have an origin in the pork world.
I thought gelatin was derived from horse hooves.
No, primarily, as I understand it, pigs' trotters' feet and sometimes cow, bovine.
Interesting. Okay, well, learning new things today. Okay, so that was my first one.
Okay, and then the second contentious issue?
The second one is her quote-unquote green bean casserole, which looked like the saddest overcooked snap peas that I have ever seen.
Well, you call them snap peas. I call them snow peas. Isn't that interesting?
No, snow peas are the flat ones.
Yeah.
The snap peas are the ones that they're more bulbous inside.
Okay. Well, they looked like snow peas to me. They looked like they were flattened and overcooked.
They look like snow peas because she cooked them to look like that.
All right. I will defer to you. So the snap peas, pardon me, the snap peas were your second point of contention?
It was supposed to be a green bean casserole. That's not a green bean.
No, it's
not.
But
I also wonder, because he did the grocery shopping, if that's what he got, and she was just using it because it's what she had.
I thought it was hilarious that he did the shopping when it's clear that she would be able to recognize what's right and what's wrong. So why didn't they go together?
I was going to say she's got to watch the kids, but
what kids? They're in the States.
What is she doing while he's gone? Because I'm assuming he was gone for a while.
Yeah. She was wandering around the kitchen with the purse on her hip and clicking her talents. I don't know. The meal itself, though, turns out to be fairly successful, I think. Because
I thought it went over really well. I was actually really surprised with how well she functioned in the kitchen. She proved me wrong because I thought last week she was going to be a complete disaster, but she wasn't. So I think this might be my first time giving her props.
Hey, all right. Take it while you can, Tigerlily. Aim is giving you props. Yeah, it goes over well. The family seems to enjoy it. She even eats one whole cranberry and perhaps an entire bean. I'm not totally sure. I think she might have eaten half a bean.
It would have been a snap pea. Am I right?
Yes, it would have. And then Adnan's mom is asking for them to have children. She wants to have grandchildren. Typical mom statement, right? And then
it was incessant, though. It made me uncomfortable. She just kept pushing and pushing and pushing and bring me those babies. Bring me the babies. Like, God.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. It's 100% part of their culture. First thing you do when you get married is you have babies. Okay, that's great. But it made me feel uncomfortable. It was probably a me thing.
It was quite emotional for her. And I think that Adnan's reaction, where he was saying, I'm going to come back. I'm going to try to come back to Jordan once a month, was because her reaction was so emotional.
Maybe.
this was an interesting idea for him to say, I'm going to come back to Jordan once a month. That's how often I want to come back. Because not only does that take Tigerlily completely by surprise, but it also means that he doesn't have a job. Because if you have a job, you can't leave once a month for at least a week to go halfway across the world to Jordan from Texas to visit your family and come back. That doesn't work.
And this is coming from a man who, from what I understand, he has several avenues of income, and one of them is being a model.
Mm-hmm.
Do you honestly think that any agency is going to work around your schedule when you have to go back to Turkey once a month? I mean, unless your photo shoots are in or around Turkey.
Jordan.
Sorry, I got sidetracked with the turkey thought.
Yeah, they were eating turkey in Turkey. Yeah. Good point. Yeah. I mean, I definitely think that he intends to be kept man because she's got the big bucks. And it seems like he probably has the big bucks too, given his family's wealth.
I believe that he does have money.
Maybe he's not planning to work. And so this will be a perfect scenario for him, of him traveling back very often to see his mom, who clearly loves him very, very much. And so his mom will be happy, but Tigerlily will no.
Especially when she's stuck at home. And if she does actually get pregnant, I'm not saying that it's not a possibility, but if she does, is he still going to leave her when she's pregnant? I think she brought that up.
Yeah.
And then if she does have an infant, is he still going to continue going once a month? Even if it's a week every 2 months, I can't imagine doing that to my wife, who has just given birth, who also has 2 other children.
Yeah.
You're just going to peace out?
Mm-hmm. Because he's the man.
Or is he going to try to pressure her to fly with the infant?
Oh, God. Awful.
Well, I can see that happening.
No, thank you. Reading on, if you're ready.
Yes, please.
Veah and Sunny. I'm happy to report that Rory is now gone, so Sunny should feel much, much better. Well, these 2 crazy kids go shopping. They're giggling over boobies and bras like they're a couple of 12-year-olds. Okay? Emotionally mature. Good. And then the reason why they're shopping is because she needs to cover up her tattoos for this meeting with Sunny's dad.
Yes, and we talked about this last week, how she was giving all the pushback, how she didn't want to, how he's trying to change her. So I like to see this compromise. Look at this compromise. It's so great.
Yes,
it is aggressively happy.
But I find it very hard to believe that Veah went all the way to South Africa without a single long-sleeved shirt.
I agree. I think this was all for production. But you know what I loved? Okay, first of all, the white one that she tried on, the first.
Mm-hmm.
I hesitate to call it a dress, but I don't know if that's culturally specific. Anyway, so the dress-like garment, it looked so comfortable. That fabric just looked like it would just be so like breezy and so nice with, with the heat. You can breathe and it looked great.
Mm-hmm.
And her arms were covered. And yet she ends up walking out with this purple outfit with transparent or see-through arms where she has tattoos. So doesn't that defeat the entire purpose of buying an outfit to cover your tattoos when you can see them through the mesh?
Yes, it does.
Thank you.
Also confused by that. Also wondering what the heck is going on. Why did she try on a third option? Maybe that didn't have the sort of bulkiness of the white garment, but also not the translucency, the sheerness of the purple one, so that she could cover her arms. Also, why not wear a long sleeve shirt of some kind underneath so that the bareness of your arms doesn't... Anyway, whatever. They go to meet Sunny's dad. She's wearing the purple thing. And the first thing that we see Sunny's dad say to Veah is that he's calling her out basically for being a catfish, for catfishing Sunny. Because what he's talking about are her photos and how they're all so very, very filtered.
Mm-hmm.
Because clearly he's seen the photos that Sunny has seen, which she posted on the dating site, or that she's been sending him throughout their relationship. So I thought that was rather upfront and cruel, bold, yes, but somewhat cruel
and rude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There are so many different adjectives to use to describe this conversation.
And then we get onto the subject of the tattoos, of course, because he can see them through her sleeves, and he says he doesn't like tattoos. So Veah's response, of course, is to throw Sunny completely under the bus and say to his dad,
Sunny likes them. And Sunny says nothing.
Whoopsie. But you can just see the look on his face. He goes, shit. He shuts down. He closes his eyes. He looks down. he closes his mouth. It's like, stop talking, Veah. Stop it. Stop it. But she doesn't.
But what would you expect to happen? I could have predicted this. You think that she's just going to walk in and your dad's immediately going to start insulting her and she's just going to sit back and take it and be like, yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
No, I didn't expect that. What I expected was her to cover up her tattoos so it does not become an issue because they already have so many other issues that they have to overcome. Why add this one to the list?
I think the tattoos are, whether or not it's an issue for his dad's going to make it an issue. And then he's just going to compound all of the issues and throw them all in her face, which he does.
Yep. He even says she has to have her tattoos removed
in 2 to 3 months or whenever it feels right for her.
Yeah. Because they are totally wrong. Wow.
And then I love that his dad also comes out with something to the effect of, I respect all religions. And then he starts talking about whether or not she's going to convert, saying that it's 100% necessity. So you respect every other religion, but yours is superior and she needs to.
Okay, well, this part I can see his point of view because he was asking her, are you a Christian? He wanted to hear from her what religion she ascribes to. And she was, well, I guess you could say I am, because obviously she's not going to church. She's not actively pursuing or following her so-called religion, whatever that may be. So given that she gives this answer where she doesn't really seem to have any religion at all, and he's said, like, I would have respected you had you had a religion, had you had something that you believed in, that you wanted to share with me, that you had expressed, but she goes, no, I don't know what I am. Then he's like, okay, well, you have to convert. I think if she had been staunch in whatever religion she might have had, like if she even said, look, I'm a Buddhist or I'm a Hindu, whatever, that he may have said, okay, well, fair enough. I respect all religions. It's only because she didn't have anything that he's like, okay, you don't believe, you got to believe. Sorry.
That's not what I got.
I understand, but that's how I saw it.
All right. I think that Sonny sitting there and saying nothing and just letting his dad be weighed down, I thought that was really sad, but not unheard of, not
unexpected.
Thank you. Because that word was just evading me. Yeah, that wasn't surprising at all.
I wasn't surprised either because this is a culture where you have to respect
your elders.
Exactly. So he respects his dad and he's not going to deliberately go against his dad's wishes in front of his face. And you can see how he's cringing with everything that comes out of Veah's mouth because it's the wrong thing to say. It's the wrong attitude to express to this man who is very religious and very conservative. So when they start talking about religion and he asks her, well, not really, it's not really a question. He says, you would have to convert for Sonny because he's Muslim. She just falls to pieces because she's expecting Sonny to defend her, which he won't do because of what we've just described. And she has no concept of what it's like for Sonny to be in this position where he's torn between his parent and his girlfriend. And obviously he has no choice here. He has to go with his parent. So everything that she's doing, everything that she's saying in this moment is causing her to give the worst impression possible to Sonny's dad. It's totally obvious to me and probably to you too that she should be playing a role here of being more submissive. But, that's totally against who she is and what she believes in and how she wants to represent herself. So she's not going to bend to that expectation. She's not going to pretend, not even for the sake of her relationship, not even for Sonny's sake. So it's a toss-up. It's a choice she's making. Is she going to play along and do everything she can so that Sonny feels and his dad feel like she's a good choice for Sonny? She takes option number 2, which is, no, I'm just going to be myself. Not going to play along with your stupid games. Don't believe in your religion. Not going to pretend that I do. And therefore, bad reaction.
I feel like we saw Sonny during a cutaway and he said, like, leading up to the meeting with his dad, that he hasn't approached her about converting yet, but it was a conversation that he was going to have with her. I feel like this is just, Sonny's another one of those Muslim men that we've seen on the show several times that you don't tell them anything until the last possible second.
Yeah.
And then, you kind of have to convert if you want to be with the man that you love. God, there's so many couples that we've seen this happen to, and I hate seeing it happen.
But again, if you just do a little research into the religion of the person that you're thinking that you may want to marry at some point, you would find out it's really important for both of the people in this couple to be of the same religion. So odds are somebody's going to have to convert.
However, Sonny wasn't like, he's not completely devout. Like, he was completely happy to get her into bed. And to even, like, the production team was there. Like, where's the modesty? Where is the commitment to your religion? I don't think I've ever seen him pray. I don't think I've ever seen Adnan pray. But, look at them pushing all of these values and restrictions onto their partner, but it's only when they see fit.
Yeah, that's very valid. The religion they only play into the religion card when they need to, when that's convenient for them. In this case. So for Sonny to say, I'll have sex with you, but you don't have to convert. And then for her, from her perspective, that would make it seem like everything is okay. We can be together. We don't have to follow these Muslim rules. But now it appears that, in fact, it's not that way. He definitely wants to live up to his dad's expectations that he's going to marry somebody who will become at least Muslim if she is not already. Veah's response to all of this, she just gets completely overwhelmed. She gets up from the table and she walks away, which is not the best response. It's very clear that she can't cope with the pressure that she's feeling from Sonny's dad, and that she can't cope with the fact that Sonny isn't standing up for her, saying anything comforting to her. But this is the situation you're in. I don't have much sympathy here. Veah asked for this meeting. She made it happen. She knew there would be objections to both the tattoos and the religion. Running away is definitely not the answer in this case.
And she only she only, half-assed her compromise with the outfit.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't think that it would have helped anything, but it would have been nice to make that gesture.
And we see how very badly the situation went from Sonny's perspective when he gets up and he apologizes to his dad for what's happened. He apologizes for Veah and the situation. And it seems like when they leave the restaurant, he's pretty despondent because he knows that there's no turning back now. There's really no salvaging this. And I think he's right, not just for the purely practical reasons of her not wanting to convert to Islam, but because I don't think that she's actually ready for this relationship. I don't think Sonny is the right choice for her. She's much too fragile. She's too vulnerable. When people ask her to change, that attacks her, that threatens her in all kinds of ways that do not bring out the best in her. So makes her feel like small and unloved and not cared for. So when she gets to the final truth, which is that Sonny will ask her to convert, that's going to be it for her. She's going to check out completely.
I hope so. I think Veah just really needs to go home, check herself into an in-person unit, and get some serious psychiatric and help for the severe amount of trauma that she has faced in her life.
Yeah, she's very fragile, very delicate.
And I mean that like out of kindness and love, not judgment or anything. That woman has been through so much, and I don't think that she's going to lead a happy and successful life if she doesn't process and figure out how to utilize, coping mechanisms. And
well, I think she has mentioned that she is in therapy, but I think she definitely needs more of it to help build herself up so she can have a really stable and equal partnership with somebody, and not this long distance thing where nothing really happens and then you meet in person and it's like completely different than the way that you portrayed yourselves.
Well, based on the amount of trauma that we're aware of, that's not a once a week, bi-weekly counseling session. That's severe trauma. That is in person. I mean, what am I? I'm not a psychiatrist, psychologist, whatever. But based on that amount of trauma, she's going to need a lot more counseling in order to do it. If she goes at this rate, no, she's going to get more traumatized along the way, and it's going to keep setting her back and setting her back and setting her back. I think if she wants to be successful, she needs to go to in-person therapy.
Okay. Well, we wish her well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And let's read on. We've got Magda and Joe. So at first, they're still carrying on the same argument that they were having last night, which is Joe wants more time to get to know Magda better, and Magda wants more promises from him as far as engagement and marriage and children moving to the US go. So she wants action. He wants time. Joe makes it clear that he's not going to propose to Magda without getting to know her better, which for him may or may not. 100% stamp on this. It may include having sex first, even though Magda has said she wants to wait for a proposal before she has sex.
I've said it before, maybe not on the podcast, but are you going to buy or are you going to buy a car that you haven't test driven?
You don't have to test drive the car.
No, you don't have. I'm not
if you
saying that
know
you have
enough
to.
about it.
Do you?
No.
Because she's also complaining about the amount of time. And he's like, I want to take some time to get to know you and basically to vet her and then see how the relationship works out. But she just wants to push.
Yeah.
But I think Joey's in the right here. It feels awkward to say.
I think that is accurate. I think you're in the right. He is good and just and reasonable to be saying, I want to get to know you better before we take this giant leap of getting engaged and getting married.
And I think he explained himself so well.
So I feel like they both want to wait, but for totally different reasons. She's waiting for a proposal. He's waiting to get to know her better, to feel comfortable to propose. So they're not on the same page exactly, but rather than like hashing it out, saying they have to solve this problem here and now, let's get to the bottom of this, they just decide to leave it, which is probably the wisest choice at this point. And they're going to just move on and talk about it later, or maybe not. Let's just enjoy ourselves for now, I think, is the gist of what they're saying.
Okay, great.
Fine. So they go and have a lovely picnic with champagne, with strawberries and cotton candy. What the heck is this? Who in their right mind puts cotton candy in a glass of champagne?
I've seen it before.
No.
In beverages, but not in champagne. Not in champagne. I love cotton candy. Love it.
Yes.
Love it. It's right up there with popcorn. I love it. But to see that abomination of a beverage made me so mad. It would be one thing if you had cotton candy in one hand and then your champagne as a chaser, which I think would be disgusting. If you want a sweeter champagne, buy a sweeter champagne, but just don't go in and bulldoze it with pure candy floss. No, it made me so mad. It was so irritating. And then, so as they're drinking and they're having this cute picnic minus the abomination of the cotton candy, she just starts opening up about, her daddy issues and all that stuff. And I was like, it's the abandonment issues that are pushing her to push him to commit because she's terrified of being abandoned again. And then it all made
It did. It was like the sunshine coming out and illuminating the landscape so that you can see every blade of grass. I live in a strange world. Very strange world. There are blades of glass.
And cotton candy and champagne.
Well, that is not a part of my world, I'm happy to say. Yeah, she has some serious issues. So first of all, in relation to the dad, she says they had a very difficult relationship. She doesn't describe what happened. She doesn't want to talk about it. But we do know that she signed papers to not be his daughter anymore. And I said, what in the sweet Jesus is this?
At the age of 24? 23, 24?
Well, she's 23, but we don't know if this happened a year ago or when she was 16, a kind of emancipation papers, but it did not.
She said it was last year.
That's what I thought too. I thought it was fairly recent. So what the heck is this? Where do I get these papers? Is this a Polish only thing?
I've never heard of it before. I've heard about, emancipation when you're a minor.
Yeah.
And I've also heard of being adopted by a step parent and
makes sense.
That to my knowledge, I have never heard of an emancipation after becoming an adult.
I was fascinated.
And what does this? Not only does it what does it entail? What's the process? What's the paperwork? What's the cost? What's the timeline? But also, what are the impacts?
Yeah.
And is the other person notified? Do they have the option of fighting it? It's almost like a reverse custody battle.
Yeah, divorcing a parent.
Yeah, it's custody of yourself.
I was just fascinated. I really wanted to know more about this. And wow, the level of trauma that she has likely experienced in order to get to this point where she wants to divorce her dad. I'm just using that term because I don't know what else to call it. That must have been some awful, awful shit that she went through. And she's only 23 now. So she had something incredibly awful happen between her and the man who was the most important figure in her life up until the point when she
Who was supposed to be.
divorced him. So what kind of emotional scarring does she have? Abandonment issues out the wazoo, no doubt.
Trust issues. And her behavior becomes a lot more understandable now that we've heard this. So I really appreciate her sharing. I wish she would have shared a little bit more because there are a lot of questions that we have. However, I'm still glad that she brought this to light.
Yeah.
Though I wonder what Joey's going to do with this information. It's probably going in one ear and out the other.
I think it's above his pay grade. He will not understand any of this and what it could potentially mean for this woman and how he will have to tread very delicately and possibly encourage her to get some therapy if she isn't already, because abandonment issues. Wow, that can really, really wreck a relationship because she will be clingy in order to try to assuage her trauma that he's about to leave her and stop loving her at any and all moments.
That's why it's marriage, green card, baby, because that ties him down. And she's probably thinking he can't run away.
Yeah. But I love the way this finally fell into place, that we have now a much more full picture of who Magda is. Yes, unfortunately, we didn't get more detail than we did in this episode, but wow, how that makes it all click into place was fantastic.
I agree. As much as I could have assumed things from the very start, we didn't get very much from her. So it was difficult to be able to decipher what was driving her to behave this irrationally and impulsively. And now we have the gist of it. I mean, the very basic gist, but now we have more of an understanding of her. So she makes a little bit more sense. But she's still a child who has been traumatized.
Yeah.
And you know that we both like to push the therapy. Just legit. Just go to therapy, fix your shit, and be the best that you can be. You don't need to carry all of this around with you for the rest of your life. You don't need to, because not dealing with that trauma and having it still impact your daily life, you're dragging that through every single day of your life. If you process it, learn how to cope, understand it, then you can be free of those chains from that trauma. That person's not going to have that control over you anymore.
And you can potentially go out and have a very successful romantic relationship.
Exactly.
Because you've actually got all the right tools. But yeah.
I honestly just want the best for all these couples, but it seems as though everyone just pushes back on the whole counseling thing. And I just wish people could see the true benefit from it. Like, yeah, it's a lot of work. Yeah, it takes time, but it propels you into like this upward trajectory that you never could have dreamed of before because you were so weighted down by all that trauma.
Again, another one that we wish well, Magda/Magna.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else for Magda and Joe?
No, I want to shake them. Her name is Magda.
Yes.
You know how to say it. Why is it so difficult for you?
I don't know. I don't.
And he says it so often. It's like he says it purposely to irritate us, to instigate us.
That's what I'm starting to feel like, that it's deliberate.
Yeah.
And it's really getting on my nerves.
I agree.
We did not see Veah this week. We did get a preview for next week, however, as usual, in which Tigerlily and Adnan are going to discuss multiple wives and murder. Isn't that nice?
I think it will be.
Joe and Magda are going to meet with her mom, who knows too much about their relationship. Veah asks Yoshko to define their relationship. Cringe. Faith and Loren are on entirely different wavelengths, and the ring comes off, which gives us all hope. But yay! I'm sure it's only for a moment. And finally, Veah and Sunny.
Only for a moment because it's still attached to the string.
Veah and Sunny have a very serious conversation about religion, and it's about bloody time. Any final comments from you, dear Amy?
No, I can't believe that we're at episode 15 and
16.
16, and it feels like we're like wrapping up. We're so close to the end.
Mm-hmm.
But I wonder if, they're getting rid of all the other couples so that they can focus on Niles and Matilda so we can see their wedding, because I'm looking forward to that.
Yes, me too. And I don't know what TLC is planning for the holiday schedule, if we're still going to get an episode next week and then the week after, because it's so close to Christmas and New Year's. Tried to figure that out today. I went onto their website and their website says they aren't, but then TV Guide websites say that they are having new episodes. Who knows? We're just going to have to wait and see if we get one
Who
next
was
week.
in charge of this shit?
I don't know, but they should be fired, because every time I try to figure out if there's a new show the next week or the week after, it seems like it's all wrong information. Silly people. Get your act together.
So now, how are we supposed to schedule this stuff when we don't have the correct information?
Thank you. We are very important people. Don't they know this?
I can appreciate that.
All right, that's good. Before we go, if you're enjoying the 90 Day Fiancé Honestly podcast, please subscribe to or follow our show. And if you have an additional moment, why not rate us and help other 90 Day fans to find the show? Thanks for listening.
Thanks, everyone.
See you next week.